Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's January 31st, 2022. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined as always by our managing editor, Matt Shodell, as we discuss the news of the day. And Matt, a whirlwind weekend of visits on campus. And I guess the best place for us to start today is just talking a little bit about what happened on campus. There's all kinds of updates on the website at CaneSport.com for those of you that want to get all the details from the weekend. I encourage you to read all of that. We'll cover it in capsule form right now a little bit, but if you want the full picture, there's many stories and content items on the website this morning that will bring you up to speed. All right, Matt, let's just go in alphabetical order here. Let's start with the running back, Travonte Citizen from Lake Charles College Prep in Louisiana. Not a kid that talks a whole lot, will not give us a lot of clues of what he's thinking, but he was on campus this weekend. What we do know is that he's down to Florida, Auburn, and LSU and Miami, although sources that I have in Louisiana have told me that they do not believe that LSU is really in the picture for Travonte Citizen, that he wants to leave the state. You and I have talked about this, so we kind of think he's most likely to go to Auburn right now, but Miami took a shot this weekend. And, your feeling coming out of the weekend on whether you feel they made any inroads with Travonte Citizen.
Well, I know you're running the show, but I'd rather give a big picture. I'm not a guy who just jumps into every single person and let's talk about each person. I want to sort of give a bigger picture, if that's okay.
Go ahead, and then I'll go back through them. Jeez.
I mean, do you want foreplay, or you just want to get right to business and then go about your workout and have your breakfast? I mean, you gotta.
I think I'll skip that one. You're looking for too much information on that one, Matt Shodell.
So basically, the big question to me, if I could fast forward in my time machine, which is in the other room, I'd go to Thursday morning and I want to see if Gary is saying, "Good morning, CaneSport," or "Bad morning, CaneSport," because if you look at the story of today on all these kids, and Gary wants to go one by one and whatever, but to me,
I'll go through them quick. I'm not going to get long-winded.
To me, it's more interesting when you look at the bigger picture, because this is not what we've seen for numerous years here. And people are going to say, "Oh, Mario didn't win at the end with some of them, perhaps," or they'll be like, "Oh, he pulled it out at the end." And it couldn't go either way with a bunch of these guys. And I know Gary had said last week, we're not going to sugarcoat it. I mean, Gary said we were going to get everybody. I said we're going to get most of them. That may not be the case anymore. Things change. It's recruiting. And some people might want to blame Gary or blame Matt. But the truth be told, this stuff is always...
I went into the weekend wearing these, okay? And today, I'm wearing these.
Oh, Lord.
I mean,
I don't know where you get this stuff.
I
know I talked about foreplay, Gary, but I don't want the stuff you wear in your bedroom on the screen right now. Take that off. It's ridiculous.
I mean, I admit it. I was caught up in.
I apologize for getting you so excited by talking about the big picture and foreplay. Okay, take it off. Let me get back to my point. What I was trying to say is what we haven't seen in a while at Miami is usually we're getting yeses and nos, and the reason being Miami hasn't really chased the guys that are going to get no's from, because Manny Diaz had this whole, I'm sorry, he who can't be named. Sorry, Gary. Sorry, I don't want to have you have a conniption. He who can't be named had this thing where his big deal was, we're not going to go after guys who are going to say no to us because it looks bad. And we want to have a perception that we're getting guys and we're winning. And that'll create this positive atmosphere where we'll keep getting guys. And then eventually we'll be at a point where we can get top guys because, hey, we keep getting whoever we want. That's going to be the mantra. That's not how Mario Cristobal does this. He goes after who he thinks will make the program better, who he knows he needs to win championships down the road. And that's what he's doing. And so what we're finally seeing, which is a good thing, fans out there might think, "Oh my gosh, this is terrible. We're not getting everyone we want." because they're used to Manny Diaz getting guys that weren't that good that wanted to come here because other top programs maybe weren't pushing as hard. So what's happening now is, and you'll see in our list today that Gary's going to go down in extreme detail. I hope you guys all have 3 hours free right now.
I'll do it quickly. I'll do it quickly.
So what I'm going to say is you'll see there's a lot of guys we have as 50-50, 55-45. Maybe it's half the list or close to half the list is like that. And that's a good thing. It shows they're trying to get guys who other top programs want. There's nothing wrong with that. And you're going to lose some, you're going to win some. And Mario's only been at this for a month and a half. You got to give the guy time. Even if he loses everybody except for Inez Cooper, who I think is pretty much a lock. Even if he loses everyone else, including Shamar Stewart, you got to cut the guy some slack. He's had a month and a half. Even Shamar was a strong Texas A&M lean. He said as much before Mario was hired. The fact Miami's 50-50 right now in itself is a success. So, fans are going to be angry if it's a bad signing day for Miami and they'll get 1 or 2 kids. You're not wrong to be upset because Miami had set it up to try and be very successful this recruiting weekend. But at the end of the day, it is what it is, and you move on. And you're not going to get everybody, but at least Mario's trying to get the top kids that Manny that he who can't be named didn't even try to get. So you got to give him some credit for that and give him a full cycle. If this happens again next cycle, I'll be concerned. Because once you have a full year recruiting guys, really plus 2 months, so 14 months to recruit the guys you want, that's not a good sign. So you got to give him that amount of time. Did it hurt potentially him not having coordinators and staff question marks with this guy maybe going there and whatever? It doesn't help. It doesn't help. And truth be told, maybe there were some other guys who might have been in the picture recruit-wise if they had hired coordinators earlier. But you got to get the right coordinators. And again, you got to give Mario the benefit of the doubt. He's trying to get things going in the right direction. He's done it at 2 programs before. Give him the benefit of the doubt. If it's a bad signing day, it's a bad signing day. You got to look big picture. I've been telling you guys all along, look big picture, look big picture. Everyone called me negative, Nelly, Nancy, Billy, Bobby, whatever. It's about the big picture to me. And I know you guys all want to win in recruiting now and win national championships this year. If you're realistic, you're looking 3 to 4 years down the road winning national championships. That's what Mario's trying to get to. And you can't do that just taking average recruits that you can get.
Okay. We appreciate that. And
no, you don't.
He didn't answer my question, which was, what do you think about Travonte Citizen?
All right,
so I'm going to go through.
Listen,
no, you had your say. I'm going to go through.
It's Travonte Citizen.
I'm going to go through the rest of the list of the kids that visited this weekend, and I will give my opinions on what they're doing.
Listen, Travonte Citizen, he Jaleel Florence me, so I have no opinion. There's a couple of guys who Jaleel Florence me. They don't want to talk. That's fine. That's their prerogative. In the past, it means they're not coming here. So if you're not coming here, what do they say at Miami? They say, if you don't come here, we're going to beat you. So, we'll beat him wherever he winds up.
All right. Let me get to the point here. All right, Travonte Citizen, we don't really think he's coming. Okay, that's the bottom line. We think he's probably going to Auburn, but it was worth taking a shot this weekend because you can't. To me, they do need. I think there's an impression here that the running back position is all set. I don't believe it is set, and I think there's a lot of question. About Don Chaney's health. I think Cody Brown and Thaddeus Franklin have a hell of a lot to prove still. We know Jalen Knighton is a winning player, but we don't know what kind of load he can really, really handle. And they could use another running back. Travonte Citizen, to me, would be a valuable pickup. So we'll see what happens. But Matt and I, I'll just answer for him since he wouldn't answer for us. Matt and I think we're in. I don't
talk about kids that Jaleel Florence me, okay, bro?
All right, I think we're in tandem on this one. Well, we don't think he's coming. All right, Josh Connerly Jr., the 5-star offensive tackle from Rainier Beach in Seattle, visited this weekend. We feel much, much better about this one. At least I do. I don't know how Matt feels. I mean, but the one thing of concern is that he says he's probably going to wait till March, and he's a West Coast kid. So if he does in fact wait till March, it's because he wants to visit USC in Oregon. And the fact that Miami's all the way on the other side of the country probably is not a great thing if that's how it plays out. So we'll see what happens there. But all the reports that we got were that the visit went very well this weekend. Mario and Alex Mirabal seemed to do a really good job of recruiting offensive linemen. The next guy Matt mentioned actually was Enes Cooper, a kid that we also are in agreement on, that we think he will be a Miami Hurricane. He's a massive, massive dude. We showed you a little video of him last week. Seems to be extremely athletic for his size. Can play either offense or defense, and not sure where he'll ultimately end up in college. But we do think Enes Cooper will be a Hurricane. Kind of interesting development, and we actually have a separate story on this on the website, is Dave Iuli from Puyallup, Washington. I hope I pronounced that city right. If I didn't, please don't sick the Chamber of Commerce on me. Iuli had also been talking about waiting until March to commit, and it looks to us like it's a USC, Oregon, Miami battle. Arizona's kind of been in there, but we don't think that figures as an ultimate destination for him. I feel that Miami is in a decent place there, and he's now saying he will sign on Wednesday. I think that was a good sign for Miami that he said he will do that. A kid that we believe has been locked in on Miami, and we think he'll be a Miami Hurricane. Matthew McCoy from Creekside St. John's, looking to us like he's probably leaning towards Florida, but Miami's still in there battling. Great visit this weekend by Christian Miller, the defensive tackle from Cedar Grove, Georgia. But, he gave us you can see the story on the website. It's there. He gave us a very glowing report on his visit. But then, I started talking to sources as the day went on up in Georgia and other parts of the country. And they tell me that it's looking very, very likely that Christian Miller does go to Georgia, and that Miami probably is third in the race, also behind Ohio State. So despite the glowing reviews that Christian Miller gave us, and you'll see, like I said, the story's on the website, I think Matt and I are in agreement that we do not think he's going to be a Miami Hurricane. I'm just going to talk about both of them at the same time. The Cardinal Gibbons duo of Ahmad Moten and R. Mason Thomas. Going into the weekend, I was bullish on these guys, man. I was like Cane shades all the way when we were talking about the Cardinal Gibbons duo, but not sure what happened over the weekend. All the reports that we are getting are not great. Like, a lot of mixed reviews, I would say, from both sides. We're not even sure that Miami really, really wants both of them anymore, or whether they just want R. Mason Thomas, or do they still want both? There's a lot of confusion, a lot of fog of war in the camp of the Cardinal Gibbons duo. And we'll be probing for more information today, and hopefully we'll be able to bring it to you on the website today, just on exactly where things stand with those two. But it doesn't seem to be the same love fest that it was on Friday going into the visit weekend for whatever reason. And we don't know what that might be or not be. Some news on Jack Pyburn. He's the defensive end from Jacksonville Bulls. He visited Florida this weekend. Finally got the offer he's been waiting his whole life for, quite frankly. He's a kid from Jacksonville, an hour from Gainesville. Always wanted an offer from Florida. He got it. I think Matt and I are in 100% agreement that he's going to Florida. Well, we think Miami's going to be out of that one. Shamar Stewart, obviously the big visitor of the weekend, the 5-star defensive end. I have heard that Georgia is eliminated. Okay. I have heard this is a Miami-Texas A&M battle to the wire. Could go either way. We are hoping to get some more information on that as the morning goes forward, and we will be bringing that to you today on the website. Visit went fine. Nothing earth-shattering to report in either direction. But the fact that Miami doesn't have a defense coordinator yet seems to be kind of infecting it a little bit. Not sure if it's a deal breaker or not. But like I said, we should get some more information on where things are going in that regard today. All right, so that brings you up to speed on all the individual recruits. Matt, to sum it all up, well, I guess we already kind of did that, but, I was extremely bullish going into the weekend. You were more moderate than I was. And I'm willing to admit, I was wrong. I was too over optimistic, and it looks like it's not quite going to play out as rosy as what I thought. It's not going to be terrible by any means. I mean, the thing I do like, Matt, is they are picking up linemen, which to me is a big deal. Miami's in a decent spot at most of the skill positions, but if they could just keep building the line of scrimmage, I think it's going to pay dividends.
Oh, I'm sorry, I had you muted. Am I back on? I just saw you stop talking. You've been talking for 15 straight minutes. You just stopped. So I assume, is this now my turn to talk?
I can start talking again. I'm trying to give
listen, I don't even know what you're talking about, but I have some thoughts I'll just add about some specific things. So listen, this is really interesting, okay? So each recruit, and this is just an aside for the fans who, since this is a Good Morning CaneSport show, every recruit, and this is what we were talking about last week when we were joking that Mario Crispo will have a minute-by-minute plan for every recruit. Well, he actually does. And every recruit gets a printed out placard of exactly their timetable and what they're going to do every single block of time that they're on their official visit, from literally the minute that they get picked up at their house to get taken to the airport to the minute their plane leaves back to home. And it's just amazing. We can't show it to you guys for obvious reasons, but we have some of these schedules, and it's amazing. I was counting up while I had you on mute. I was counting up the amount of events he has listed just for Saturday for these kids, and it's 15 events, 15 different time slots. I mean, literally from 8 o'clock a.m. the wake up call, and then there's a 10 o'clock event, there's a 10:05 event, there's an 11 o'clock event, 11:10 a.m. event. I mean, literally, it's so well structured. And I have not seen this. And I've talked to other recruits about their prior visits, and it's almost fly by the seat of your pants sometimes. They'd be at the hotel taking a nap for an hour or two, and then they'd show up somewhere else, or someone would show up, come hang out with us. Now it's a real official visit. I mean, this is structured so that they get to meet with the strength coach, meet with their position coach, see everything. And it's all slotted for blocks of time so that everyone's in the right places, so that when the recruit or their family gets there, the people are there that need to be there to meet with these people, because it's been organized. And that's huge just in and of itself. So that's one thing. I'll just share a couple of other quick anecdotes. So Josh Connerly Jr., as you guys know, I really don't like to badger kids or bother parents or anything like that. So I texted Josh Connerly. I had the schedule, so I knew around what time he was leaving. So I texted him at like noon, like, hey, was hoping to get an update with you at some point. Let me know. Never heard back. I called him once, texted him that one time after I called him because he didn't answer, and never heard back. And then 2 hours later, he calls me. He says, hey, Matt, I'm on the plane. I got a couple of minutes. So, we did a nice interview with him. But how nice is that for a kid to just call you from the airplane and think, hey, let's let Miami fans know how the visit went, because that's all we wanted. That's all we always tell the kids. Listen, it's not about us reporting a story. It's about letting the fans know how the visit went, so they can sort of gauge for themselves how to go with you, and you sort of get a chance. We're just sort of a conduit between recruits and fans. That's all we are at the end of the day. So that was neat. And then I'll share a Shamar story, since everyone loves Shamar and everyone wants to know, what happened? How come you haven't talked to Mo yet? I mean, Mo was on the visit, and things are crazy with Shamar. They really don't have that much time to talk. I did text with Mo a few times, and hopefully we'll catch up at some point before signing day. Maybe he has one more minute to spare before Shamar signs, so we can do a final interview with him. He's a great guy. I enjoy talking to him. And then Shamar, so I'm trying to find this text. So I'm texting with Shamar, and I just texted with him about, just at least let us know where things stand with your favorites. And he says it's Miami and Texas A&M now as his top two, which you mentioned before as a source. Well, the source is me telling Gary, because Shamar told me. And then after that, I said, okay, great. Is it okay if I call you for a quick update? And he responded a minute later. He says, I'm doing something. And then in a separate text, he says, I can't. And that was it. And I said, okay, no problem. Just let me know if anything frees up later. I haven't heard back since. Now it's the morning. I'm sure he'll be calling me any minute now. So everyone stay tuned for that. Wink, wink. And but the funny thing is, I'm doing something. I'm dying to know what he was doing. Was a Texas A&M booster showing up at his door with a money bag? Were there coaches in the house? What was he doing that was more important than talking to CaneSport and letting fans know what was going on? I can't even imagine what it could be. Maybe it was your good friend who you live in his basement. Maybe he was maybe talking to some of Schmar's people who were talking to him, right? I don't know if they can talk directly or not. Maybe it was through a third-party associate. And then the other thing I'll tell you is Dave Yulee, who listen, fans know I love that kid. You talk to that kid, he's so pumped up. And I'll see, I was going to look for the text, but it'll take too long. But even his texts are like all exclamation point. Like every word almost is an exclamation point. And not just one exclamation point, but like 10 exclamation points. He's going to be a strength coach someday, I'm sure of it. So anyway, so we texted just a couple of times in the morning because I wanted to just double check if he was going to announce on Wednesday or not, because he had told me late last week that he was considering waiting until March. He didn't want to, but he really wanted to take 2 more visits and only had time for 1, so he's at Oregon. So a couple hours later, I just figured, it's Dave Yulee time. I need to get pumped up. I'm getting a little depressed just talking to these Miami recruits who aren't saying they're coming yet. So I called Dave Yulee to get pumped up. He answers right away, "Hey, Matt, what's happening?" And I'm like, "Hey, Dave, how are you, Dave?" "I'm amazing. What's happening? What's going on?" I'm like, "Well, I was wondering if you had a couple of minutes free, just check in, do a quick update with you, And he's like, "Well, I'm still at Oregon on my visit, but yeah, let's do it." So we talked for, a couple of minutes. I'm like, "Listen, I don't want to keep you." So we just did a quick update. You'll see it on the website this morning, but that's sort of how it went down. And I used some of the quotes also from last week as well, just in all honesty, because I didn't want to keep him from his Oregon visit. We're not here to do that. Even though we cover Miami, we're not out to keep kids from their visits. He was happy to talk, so I talked to him for a couple of minutes. But yeah, so there's that story, and I'm sure there's more stories from yesterday. I mean, yesterday was just nonstop. You know how it is, talking to kids, talking to people around the kids.
All right, Matt, can I finally interrupt you?
No, thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great day. All right, end it, Gary. We're done.
All right.
End it.
Notice you again didn't answer my question, okay? I asked you about at least the appearance that they're loading up at the line of scrimmage, and I think that's like a really
I didn't hear you. I had you on mute the whole time. I told you that already. So you want to know that? I'll answer it.
All right. So yeah, like
are they lining up?
Would you agree that it's a good thing that they're loading up on the line of scrimmage?
Did they have a choice, Gary? I mean, what other coaches do they have right now? They have an offensive line coach and a defensive line coach. So yeah,
speaking of which,
and those are the 2 areas that they need the most help, other than linebacker, where they're going to have to get help from the portal at this point, probably. So yeah, it makes sense. You don't bring in kids where you have no position coach. It just doesn't make any sense. It's a waste of time. It's unfortunate. But it is what it is. You got to hire the right guys. You get the right guys in place. If it takes more time than it should, it takes more time than it should. This is, again, long-term for those of you out there. Some are frustrated. Why isn't there a defense coordinator when Schmar said, "I want a defensive coordinator so I can come to Miami and feel comfortable with it"? Well, Mario Cristobal isn't pandering to one recruit. Mario Cristobal is trying to make this program right for the long term. And I love that. I love that. It may cost you some recruits in the short term, but I'd rather have the right coaches, the right recruiters in place to get the job done. And he's trying to do it. Look, I know it's sort of, it may not work out so well with the wide receivers coach, who was a great hire, McClendon, but if what you reported yesterday, was it yesterday morning you reported it, right?
Yeah, here's what happened. Let me just update that. Brian McClendon and Georgia seem to have reached an agreement for him to go to Georgia and become the wide receivers coach. It was confirmed all over Athens by almost every media outlet. However, while all that was taking place, Brian McClendon was sitting in the building, at the, I guess we'll call it the Schwartz or the sofa or whatever we want to call it. He was still there, and I'm not totally sure. And we haven't really gotten a final verdict on this as of yet. But, Mario Cristobal still is looking for an offensive coordinator. And if he offered that job to Brian McClendon, then I think Brian McClendon would stay. And I think that is the dilemma that Mario Cristobal is in. Does he let Brian McClendon go to Georgia, or does he offer him the offensive coordinator job that's still open? And he's going to have to make that assessment. Does he think Brian McClendon is ready to be an offensive coordinator? We'll see what happens there. And like I said, we'll try to figure out today what the final decision ended up being. On other coaching notes, Clint Hurt was a leading coordinator to be defensive coordinator. He is going to be named, if he hasn't already been named, the defensive coordinator of the Seattle Seahawks, and is out of the running at Miami. I think that Mario's kind of back to square one on that coordinator job too. But with recruiting coming to an end this week, I would expect some quicker activity going on these open coaching staff positions that are creating a lot of anxiety, I know, in the fan base. But, I can't urge you guys enough that this has been a whirlwind 7 weeks. I think everyone's just going to take a deep breath, let Mario Cristobal set up his program, let him get his whole staff right. It goes far beyond these coordinators and coaches. You're talking about a whole support staff that has to be evaluated. He has to make decisions on the guys that Manny Diaz left behind. And then the ones that aren't coming back, he's got to fill those spots. There's a lot to do that you really just can't do while you're in the middle of recruiting. So things should start coming into shape. I think everybody needs to exercise some patience. All right. Another thing I want to talk about is on actually it was Friday. I had the opportunity to stop by LifeWallet headquarters and watch several of these Miami athletes and football players who have signed NIL deals start to fulfill their obligations. And I got to tell you guys something, man. I am absolutely blown away watching what John Ruiz and his family are doing with these kids. The media training that's going on, they're filming commercials, they're getting life coaching. There's just so much taking place. The golfer Morgan Pankow, who was the first female athlete to get an NIL deal, she walked in there on Friday and she was so impressive that by the time she walked out, they had tripled her NIL deal because they want to give her so much more work. And, really, really, really very impressive, and continues to just, look pretty amazing where Miami's going with NIL. So there's a brief little video that I wanted to show you guys from the action there on Friday that I think you're going to like, because it'll give you a little bit of a feel on what these players are doing.
I am LifeWallet. Saving time, saving lives.
Really understand what LifeWallet is about. If you were to travel anywhere in the entire world, you have your entire health history with you.
Why is LifeWallet important to you?
Say if you're out of town somewhere and something happened to you, just get your phone and see everything on medical and the medicine that you used previously.
You need to prove it to yourself. Because the day that you follow somebody else, then you're not yourself.
Mason Napper, Clay James, Xavier Restrepo, Tyler Van Dyke,
Morgan Panko,
Will Mallory.
The time is now. My LifeWallet is my life.
So I wanted to show that to you guys so you can see, this is a real deal NIL program that is already being executed. And, so very exciting things. We're going to have a lot more on this in the coming days. There's going to be a lot of commercials coming out. Starting tomorrow, CaneSport has reached an agreement with LifeWallet to start showcasing the work that they're doing with the players, and you'll start seeing more of that on the website, on our YouTube channel in the coming days and weeks and months, and just a lot of big things planned in that regard, and it's going to keep expanding and growing. The enthusiasm I'm seeing is off the charts. You saw John Ruiz. This is a guy that's purportedly a billionaire who's taking his time to sit there and talk to the kids about just life lessons that, from his experiences that he can impart on them. And he's taking it very personally and very seriously. And as we go forward in the week, you'll see he's getting in the trenches with these kids as they're filming their commercials. He's coaching them on speaking, on different ways of using their voice to deliver the marketing messages. So we'll have a lot of coverage on the website on that stuff as we move forward here this week and then into the future. Other things really quickly on the website this morning, we've talked about all of the recruits. We've got several individual updates. The Hurricanes received a commitment over the weekend from 2023 wide receiver Andy Jean from Miami Northwestern. Kind of came out of left field, Matt. There's a lot of good receivers in the class. You think of the Brandon Innes's of the world and those kids, and and it was kind of interesting that Andy Jean, a guy that kind of wasn't necessarily universally thought of as being kind of in the elite class as some of those other guys, was the first one that actually committed, which means he had an offer. Did that surprise you as much as it surprised me?
Oh, no, he's a top kid, but I was supposed to talk to him yesterday after the Brian McClendon news came out. We had texted back and forth, and then all of a sudden he didn't really want to talk anymore. So we'll see how that goes. A big reason he committed was McClendon. And like you said, if McClendon doesn't stay at Miami, which I think it's unlikely he does, if he's the offensive coordinator, I personally would be pretty surprised, but, we'll see. So if he leaves, then this is back to square zero to me, and that's to see the receivers coaches. But no, he's just because star ratings, whatever. He's right up there with those other top 2023 receivers. He's as good as any of them to me.
All right, and also on the website today, BetMGM has made Miami its number 14 team going into next season. And another interesting thing that's going to happen today is the schedule for the fall is going to be released later today, and we'll get to see who Miami's going to play what weeks in 2022. Mario Cristobal's first season, and we'll bring you a full analysis of all of that on the website tonight, and we'll talk about it on Good Morning CaneSport tomorrow morning.
And just as a quick preview, I have started researching some of the coastal teams and the other opponents, and I really think, we'll talk about it more, but aside from Texas A&M, I think Clemson's going to be better than they were this year for sure. Aside from those two teams, I think Pittsburgh is going to probably be the second best team after Miami in the Coastal. I think North Carolina is going to be worse with Howell gone and some other key pieces gone, and Pittsburgh loses Kenny Pickett. So it's right there for Mario Cristobal in his first year to win the Coastal for sure. So, but yeah, we'll talk about it more tomorrow morning.
They're gonna have to get the defense.
And the schedule is going to be interesting because you don't want to stack. You don't want to have stacked Clemson, North Carolina, Pittsburgh. So you got to see how they set up the schedule for Miami, and if the ACC tries to screw Miami, which they would never do. They would never, ever do that. So we'll see how it comes out tonight.
All right, so that's going to do it for today. For Matt Shodell, I'm Gary Ferman. We thank you for joining us as always on Good Morning CaneSport. Have a great day. Watch for the Shamar Stewart news today. Watch for the schedule release later today, and possibly a whole lot more. And then we'll be back at you tomorrow morning. Have a great day, everybody.